Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 9 of the Anime Junction Cast. I'm here with my co-host Brandon.
How's it going, Mark?
It's going pretty good. For those that weren't here for the Halloween special, we have a nice new overlay. The podcast looks oh so much better now.
It does look better. I love it.
Yeah, it
Looks really
does.
good.
Uh, Obviously, we just watched Bleach. We had some Gundam news drop at the beginning of this November, just over a week ago. Uh, we got episode 5 of Daima that we want to talk about. Then we're going to talk about a JRPG game, Tales of Rise, a little bit. Just kind of like an overview of what we're going to be talking about. But was there anything else you wanted to bring up before we got into it, Brandon?
I don't think so. I think that covers everything.
Yeah, just appreciate everyone's support that support the podcast, whether it's on video on YouTube or on the podcast. Obviously, there are some socials on screen right now. If you're watching the video, we'll get more added later. It needs to get fixed. But the rest will obviously be down in the description below. But I guess we can get right into it because this Bleach was a anime that I knew about back in the day, but I never really watched. Like it was one of those big three when that was like an actual thing between
Yeah.
Bleach, One Piece, and Naruto.
Yeah, it was part of the big three, but it was like the little brother of the big three. It got the least amount of attention, I feel like. While it's my favorite, I just like the darker concepts of the show. And I think it dives into like some, there's a lot of like real world conversation type stuff in the show too. Like, the real conversation between like good and evil and what does it mean to be, I don't want to spoil anything, but basically what does it mean to actually be like a good person? It just goes on and on with stuff like that. It's not what you would think it is. The further you get on the show, the more it dives into, kind of like the theme of the week for, shows back in the 80s where, at the end of it, there was always like an advert like, and always remember to be the best person that you can be and people will be good to you and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that. So, it dives into a lot of that stuff, and there's a lot of like subtext to the show too that's very interesting. It also dives into a lot of real life Japanese lore, and it's just a great show, man. I love it.
No, yeah, it really is because I've seen a little bit, kind of knew the overarching, kind of what was going on, but I never actually sat down and consistently watched a lot of it. I know I obviously brought this up because I'd recently bought the season 1 on Blu-ray, which I think it looks good, but it obviously wasn't It doesn't feel like it was natively upscaled. Like you can, like when you're watching the openings, it still looks like that old show from 2004, 2005 when it came out.
My guess is that's exactly what they did was upscaled it, and they didn't take it from like the original. It's not original film. Well, yeah, original film essentially, and like up. It's not just straight upscaling. It's from the ground up work. So like, if you got a movie from the 1950s and they have the original film, they're working from the original film negative instead of just upscaling it to that the other format where it doesn't look really that much better. All it does is maybe shows a little more detail, but it shows more like artifacting and stuff like that. They don't,
No,
I'm
yeah,
assuming, I'm assuming that's what it was. It was just they threw it on Blu-ray. They did no work to it.
yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. It's not like when I had gotten about probably a few months ago at this point had gotten Nadia and was rewatching that because they actually advertised like, hey, they actually did the work, upscaled it to 4K, and when you watch it on Blu-ray, the act does not look like a show from like the early 1990s. It looks
All those
like really good.
movies, they work from the original like film negative
Yeah,
from
those
the
as well.
original cells. Yeah. So that's a good thing about big things like that. But unfortunately, I don't know what it is. As popular as One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach are, they never get the respect they deserve when it comes to like the treatment of a real. I mean, first of all, they don't even get 4K Blu-rays at all. But if they did, if they did, it would just be an upscaled mess. It would actually, if you ask me, make it look worse because it's not being worked from the original film cells. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I guess my only assumption with that is
why
the
is
fact that
Naruto not on 4K Blu-ray? That makes no sense to me.
it has to not be financially viable because some of these other shows, it's maybe 12, 24, 30 some episodes, or it's like a
Dragon Ball's
movie.
not either.
The problem with something like Bleach or Naruto is you're talking hundreds of episodes you'd have to go back. That's a lot of work to upscale all that.
It is, but something like Dragon Ball Z, you're telling me that wouldn't sell, especially with the hardcore collectors. You know, I mean, you know how long people have been waiting to see like Dragon Ball Z in 4K, actual native
It's
4K.
not native 4K, but you have a high resolution with Kai, which cuts out a lot of the filler and stuff like that.
I like Kai. I'm a big fan of Kai, but does it look amazing? No, it doesn't even look like a standard Blu-ray release, if you ask me. Like if you're talking about like a movie uh actually made for Blu-ray, not just upscale from DVD to Blu-ray, it doesn't look like that to me. It's got widescreen support, which is great. So, you know, that's good, but other than that, I mean, it's a minor upgrade.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess getting back to Bleach proper, because we went back, started watching the first few episodes just to kind of get that introduction. Because I think the show does a really good job about just introducing what it is. But the one thing I do remember back in the day, people talking about was the fact that the show felt like it had the worst when it came to actual filler. But I don't know how true that actually was.
The filler's there, but I didn't notice it as much. It wasn't something I noticed as much as I did for, say, Dragon Ball Z or even One Piece.
I think,
No,
well,
more Naruto, more
yeah,
Naruto.
but at least Naruto,
filler.
but at least they had the due diligence to put a lot of it 2 years straight and then try to keep ahead of it, though that obviously that wasn't a problem. All three, well, the three had filler problems. I think One Piece got it avoided a lot of its filler because like, oh, we're just gonna make a chapter single episodes. We're just gonna stretch something that's not shouldn't be fitting 20 minutes of screen time.
Right, it should be like 4 minutes.
It's like a form of filler, but you know, keeping it somewhat canon in that regard. But obviously, Naruto and this show just had. If you want to avoid the filler, you have to go to like I think there's like a website for anime filler lists and be like, all right, what episodes do I need to watch? What episodes do I need to avoid?
I remember enjoying the filler that I did see of Bleach. I remember there being like, you know, the typical beach episode type filler thing, you know, that every anime ever had. But a lot of it I didn't even know was filler at the time. I just thought it was a show because it worked. Like it was good. And there's good. I like good filler. If it's you know, if there's filler, sometimes it's good, man. Sometimes you want to watch it. Like Inuyasha, like a lot of that filler, like I want to watch that filler. That's the charm of the show. It's got so much filler to it that, like, I think there might be more filler than there is actual story. That's
No,
kind of
you're
the
right.
charm of the show.
No, you're 100% right. But it's just like I guess the idea, and I'll have some stuff up on screen for those that are actually watching the video, because it actually starts off with the introduction, like the whole supernatural stuff, where essentially it starts right up after the introduction, beating up bullies that disrespected I don't know what you call a shrine, but like it's like a vase that was full with a flower, stuff like that, for a girl that had passed away. So I mean, it wastes no time like getting straight into the actual story of like what actually happened.
Show's first episode and how it just dove straight into it.
Yeah,
There was no waiting. You know, he dies immediately, jumping in the car. That's a spoiler or whatever. I mean, it's like 20 years old or something, but you know, it reminds me of that. It jumps right into it. So,
which isn't the worst. It kind of it gives you a decent introduction where apparently his family has come some connection to the supernatural, though his dad's like off the wall crazy. Like when he walks right in the door, his dad's immediately like, "Hacha, I'm on you!" Just immediately attacks him for whatever reason.
yeah, I don't know.
And he's got like two sisters, one that believes, one that's just like, I don't care, leave me out of this.
Yeah, yeah, it's good stuff.
I just thought it was really funny because it's like the obligatory father dad, they have to fight and be at odds with each other or something like that.
It had that sort of concept to it, I think, going on. It was
The goofy dad type comedy.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's got, I think he also has like a, like I think I can't remember what it's what's it, Ichigo is the main character's dude, or one of his siblings, one of the daughters
Ichigo.
that criticize him for having like a wall poster of his wife, like, you know, memorializing her. It looks kind of like a movie poster.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a little weird, but I guess I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to bring it up. Yeah, I added on screen because it's like says Masaki Forever, little stuff. Maybe it was like a tribute. It's like a massive, it's like a 6 foot tall poster.
Like,
She thinks huge.
I think it was meant to be comedic.
Oh,
in that
100%.
sort of thing,
Like I'm
because,
focusing on something that was on screen for like all of like 10 seconds. I just thought it was funny and it stuck out to me.
it is pretty funny. I forgot about that, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Because I think we also kind of get introduced, because obviously it's what you have these monsters, just not getting spoilery, but kind of talking with like the first 3 episodes. Because it kind of introduces you, because then you have this other girl, I can't remember her name, I have it pulled up. The main chick that he runs into. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up real quick because I feel
short hair. It's something with a K. I can't remember.
I was just watching. Rukia Kuchiki. Is that right? Bad at Japanese names. Yeah, no, that should be who she is.
Yeah.
Because she's like really the only in the first few episodes. She's like your first introduction to like what the Soul Society before apparently Ichigo steals her power. She can't go back, so she essentially joins his school, and you're just slowly introduced into the world. But the action's kind of like always there.
Yeah.
Because she's kind of like surprised that he can like even see her or something like that.
Yeah, very much surprised. Yeah.
Because like, and she kind of like ties him up like immediately. Or whatever. Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't if I was you. It'd be kind of like freaky, but it's like a neat way with how she like it immediately shows up like, hey, there's spirits, but these are kind of how we put them to rest. Instead of like killing the spirit, she like the back of the sword and sends them to rest and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like like a ritual type thing. Yeah,
it very very kind of quickly introduces, at least to some degree, because I'm not super into what actually happens with the whole Soul Society. At least this is part of their job, is to put souls to rest and attack these other worldly creatures. They got a name for it. It's killing me that I'm forgetting the name.
You know what's just like that? Kingdom Hearts.
How's that really? I haven't played Kingdom Hearts.
So you deal with souls and stuff. So you have the Keyblade.
Sorry, I just want to say it's the Hollows.
Yeah. So you deal with souls and Kingdom Hearts, and you have the Keyblade that can kind of like, I don't know what you would want. I can't remember exactly what it is, but basically freeze the soul, the evil soul, basically kind of freeze it.
Yeah. No, it's definitely the same concept. But I mean, the first episode kind of gets straight into it because gotta save the siblings, and then oops, he's the one that remembers. I think it explains in episode 2 or 3 about I can just like little mash that blows up in their face, and I just forget everything. It just gives them a random memory, because I think his female Orihime all of a sudden talk about there was some like at the end of episode 3, some giant sumo that came through or something like that, destroyed a room, and they're like, I think you're just making up a story. I think it was just a car crash.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, it's just gonna make up a story to fill it up. As well as like because it's like episode 2 and 3, you're like right into it, as far as it kind of shows how some hollows are made. They're either they exist or they're created because the hollows like kind of like what devour them, as well as like you're right into like the back history of Orihime, because it's what her brother is kind of brought into it like right out the gate, because he passed away when she was younger and stuff like that. So like it doesn't hold your hand as far as like sad background. So it felt like after her brother, they eventually because they have to like get rid of him. He can't go to the afterlife. Once you've gone hollow, you can't go back. Something like that. That's a good saying.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
And then it's like right after this serious meme, it's just great. Oh, I forgot Goofy. It seemed a little jarring when I was first watching it, but I was like, it just might be the show.
So, I mean, is it something that you'd want to continue watching?
I mean, 100%. I 100% would skip the filler. I mean, it's still a lot. It would take me quite a while to probably catch up. But it's one of those shows, because I bought it on Blu-ray, at least go through the first season, watch that. But I mean, there's a lot of good anime that's out there. It's just, I don't know why I never got into this one, but after a while, I kind of stayed away from these ones just because it would take forever to watch. Like, no legit. I think I spent about 2 months straight just watching Naruto and Shippuden, skipping the filler, of course, just to like catch up. It took forever.
Yeah, see, that's my problem with these big shonen like things. There's stuff I want to watch, like Jujutsu Kaisen, which is going to be another long running series like Naruto. And there's some other ones like My Hero Academia is still running, right? It's going to end
Yeah,
up being
but the manga's already done running. The anime's about to be done though. It's gonna be like what? I think it's like 200-300 chapters for the manga, so the anime's got it's gonna be like less than 10 seasons, I'm pretty sure. But it's still 150, 200 episodes probably. I'm balling. I don't know how many episodes there are, but that's more manageable than the maybe 500-600 episodes of Naruto and Bleach, or the 1,200 episodes of One Piece at this point.
Which upsets me so much because I love One Piece. I play all the games that come out for it. I do like all the other mediums. I'll watch some movies, but I just don't have the time, dude. It sucks. I wish I had not fallen behind when I did so long ago, but you fell so far behind that it's like daunting. It gives me anxiety to think about even trying to attempt that. I wouldn't be able to do anything else. I wouldn't be able to touch a game for a year. Trying to do that.
Yeah,
right?
it is insane.
It's daunting for new people to get into One Piece. It just is either manga or anime. So what I do is I just watch the movies that come out and I play the games that come out, and I get my fill of One Piece. So,
I mean, yeah, I guess that works for you. I'm not sure because it's just the whole concept, but it's hard for new people. Like it's one thing if you're. It's one thing if you're already watching and it's just a week to week. And if you fall behind, maybe it's a few weeks. It's not that bad. But like if you have to just watch a crap ton of episodes, like you're going to have to commit like at the better part of like a year just to catch up to it. Like watching more than at least one episode a day, which is still going to take a while.
It's going to take a long time. And I can't do it. I just can't catch up. It's longer series are harder for me these days. If I can't stay caught up on it, I don't even attempt it. It's just too much. Like long running series are, there's a lot of stuff, I watched back in the day that, I watched through the whole thing, or, I watched and finished when I was an adult. And when I had more time, it would have been different. It would have been different if we're talking 10 years ago. It wouldn't have been a thing for me to have caught up at least to One Piece and, been able to stay caught up or even get through like a long running series. Like I remember the year before my daughter was born, binge watching what's that series? I watched it all on VHS too. The Highlander TV series.
Oh, yeah.
Highlander. Yeah, well, I mean I binged through all of that on VHS and like 2014. I bought the big box set of it. Like I would never be able to do that now. I just can't. I don't have the time right now. And there's other things that matter more to me. I enjoy content and creating content stuff more than being able to sit down. I don't like to binge things necessarily anyway. I like to watch episodes, but I don't want to sit there I don't want to sit there for 6 hours and watch a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's true for me, and everybody's different. But like, I just don't like to binge stuff like that. People will be like, "I stayed up all night binging this new season of something that just came out yesterday," and like, I just don't want to do that. That's not how I like to watch TV.
I used to be in that when I was younger. Obviously, just by the nature you had more time. Yeah. But even now, it's like even if I want to binge something, the problem is what I want to do is like I want to watch it off to the side while I do something else. But that means you're not fully paying attention. That works great if you're watching YouTube videos. It's more you can just listen to the audio, or you're watching a TV series that you've seen 1,000 times before. Like I'll do that. I'll watch like Stargate SG-1 while I'm playing a game or just doing something else, just because I can like on the peripheral pay attention because like I know what's gonna happen. So it's not
you
like
already know what's going on. Yeah,
it's like a new show.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I tried doing that. Like I was doing stuff on the side with watching the Ranma 1/2 episode or whatever, and like I had to keep rewinding it over and over because I kept missing stuff. I was doing things, and
one thing I've noticed, and I guess it helps because I guess we have a reason to watch it because we're doing this. But the one thing I've noticed that I have to force myself instead of like say watching a YouTube video while I like sit down, eat dinner, eat lunch or something like that. Hey, it's perfect time. I eat dinner once, twice. I'm eating at least 2 meals a day. Breakfast, who knows? I might eat that at work, but it's like, okay, so if we're watching 2 different shows, I can at least get it through a handful. I can watch one episode during lunch, one episode during dinner of like 2 different shows, and I can at least keep that moving forward. If I'm not trying to watch too many shows at one time. I mean, you're still gonna take you forever to watch through stuff,
but it's a good idea. It's a good way to do it.
And it's
For
another
sure.
thing, like if you're up to date, obviously, if you're like, oh, I got to catch up 5 episodes, it might need like, maybe 2 episodes here, 2 episodes there to kind of like catch up. But it's good for if you're up to date with currently watching, or you're just trying to watch like a 12 to 24 episode anime. It's a whole other
Right.
bag of worms if you're watching like a 400 or 500 episode show.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree.
But transitioning, we did have some other news, and you probably saw it on the channel, just had another video that came out. But I wanted to roll it off it with somebody else. I don't know if you're as big of a Gundam fan. Obviously, I'm still in the process of watching it. I have pretty much all of the Universal Century on Blu-ray, though I haven't watched it. I bought all of it like at once. But we had like 2 separate like Gundam announcements. The first one was for a new special is probably the best way to put at it. So it was reported over by Anime Corner News on Twitter that a new Gundam anime project titled Mobile Suit Gundam ALC Encounter was announced. It's premiering on the 24th, so the back half of this month. I think that's right before Thanksgiving. But it's a wall projection at the Lalaport Fukuoka shopping mall in Japan. So it's not like
Whoa.
a standard thing. It feels like it's like a short, or I don't know exactly what that means, but it doesn't seem like it's a regular showing / movie. It feels like more of like
Very
a
stylized,
special.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very stylized, like unlike any other Gundam I've seen. Just based on like the faces of the 2 girls standing there.
Yeah, and that was the title. And then from my understanding is we only got about 4 little clips. The Gundams that we got in this clip look absolutely stunning and amazing. Like, it's obvious they're using CG they've been for a while, but it just looks absolutely amazing. And I don't want to say this with certainty, but I believe this is in relation to the 45th anniversary of Gundam, because when we had the 40th with the prequel, the Mobile Suit Gundam Origins show. That was there for the 40th anniversary, so I'm pretty sure this is, and I think that was 2019, so that would line up. This is the 45th. Yeah, no, it'd be 45th, because of the 40th in 2019, because the original show came out in 79, so that'd be, this would be the 45th. But I don't know a whole lot about the show. Like, we got, some Gundams, we got some character designs from the model. Though there is one, I don't know if you have it pulled up, that it kind of looks like an homage to Char and Amuro. Well, they're obviously different, but it looks potentially like a homage, and that's what I've seen a lot of people talk about.
Yeah.
As well as just more, there's like one other one where the Gundams looks like it's trying to power up. It just, the mobile suits just look absolutely stunning, but I don't know what a wall projection is, and I'm hoping that we at least eventually this comes to a traditional media, whatever this is, because I couldn't find anything like super explicit about what this was actually going to be.
It's very stylized. You know what it actually reminds me of? The style of the human characters. Like, there's this one image. It's the second image when you're looking at the images in the comments there.
Yeah.
The second image, it looks like a Pokemon human design.
I think it's just the style that they use.
But, I mean, it's definitely like a very stylized show.
Yeah, but I mean, Sunrise is really good at what they do, and they tend to have a specific style that they go for.
Yeah. So where will this fit in the timeline?
No idea. All we know is this is a thing that's happening on the 24th at a shopping mall in Fukuoka, Japan.
Somebody commented Yuri Gundam. Not sure what that means.
Oh, because of the 2 girls in the main poster. We have no idea. They're just it's just an assumption.
I don't even know what it means.
Yeah, there's another person, Amuro and Char, arrive in the real world. Because it kind of looks like they're in a shopping mall. So I have seen some people.
I didn't know that.
I saw that, and it kind of reminds you, like, oh, because they're very obvious. Maybe it's a kind of a promo anniversary for the mall as well. They're doing some fight at the ball. I've seen some comments on both X and elsewhere. So, I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah,
those seems like a bunch of people want to. It's either Gundam or it's Yuri. Don't know what the ALC, the ALC stands for. But
is this the woke Gundam that we never needed?
So stupid.
It looks like it could be, and I'm not. It seems like I'm not the only one that thinks that might be the case.
Oh no, there's 2 girls. Yuri's woke now. Apparently, it's confirmed by Brandon.
No, it's coming from the X comment. It's not coming from me. I'm joking, obviously.
Who knows? It'll be a wait and see. But I assume it's gonna be some canon's not the right word, but it's gonna be like a special.
Gundam gone woke.
It wouldn't be it would be the first time that anime has partnered with like a mall or a town to take place in, as far as like it's like a quasi advertisements. The first one that comes to mind, just because it's relevant, is for Girls und Panzer. It takes place in Ori, but Ori is an actual town in Japan, and there's a lot of scenes where they're battling in the town. It's actually modeled after the actual town, and the town uses it to kind of advertise tourism and stuff like that. So in certain instances, you've seen that happen before. It's nothing new to anime. So this could just be more of like it's Gundam, but we're partnering with the mall, so it's gonna like take place around this Lala Point Mall in Fukuoka. Is a possibility.
Fukuoka.
Never been there. But
is it a real place?
I have no idea. I've never been there before.
I haven't either.
But the other major one that we talked about that actually had some news, just again, because do you remember watching Gundam Seed at all?
Yeah.
Seed and Destiny, or just Seed?
I watched Seed Destiny too, although I don't remember as much from it.
It had probably not as good. I did get around to watching.
I remember people not liking it as much, but
I did get around to watching Freedom, though there's no actual physical out for it yet, which I'm waiting for the Blu-ray to come out for this one.
Well, let me guess, you watched it illegally then?
Well, the first time, got to wait months, and then finally got an actual legal way to stream it or to watch it. But no, Freedom is one of those movies where it's built for fans of the series. Like if you're not a fan of Gundam Seed, you're not going to be the biggest fan of it, because it just kind of goes off the wall. And I don't know how much you remember, just because I've watched it in the last like 9 months or something like that for Seed and Seed Destiny. Freedom definitely takes place around I'm blanking.
I can't.
Sorry,
remember.
I didn't bring it up like I should have beforehand, because I'm stupid.
Oh, you're good.
But Kira and Lacus, or Lacus in the new dub, whatever you actually want to call her, their relationship kind of at times was, I don't want to say half-assed, but it was kind of open-ended and kind of vague at times. Like a lot of shows, it didn't go the whole will they, won't they, but they're like, oh, we're not going to have them kiss. They're just going to keep leading you on. That's kind of what they did in Seed and Seed Destiny with their relationship, where it's obvious there's something there, but they just refuse to take it all the way towards a proper relationship that you'd actually think of it. And Freedom actually deals with that relationship that was always like off to the side, not a big thing. Right. And then it kind of goes ham, and at the very end, it goes all the way. That's all I'm going to say with that point. It just goes all the way. There is no question where they stand at the end of this movie.
Alrighty then.
So that was funny. But this got announced because they just did essentially like a special edition screening for Freedom, because apparently they were rushed. They didn't fully finish it the way they wanted with the movie. So they spent the better part of a year and released a special edition, fixing some stuff up, and I believe adding a few things for it. And that's running from like the 1st to the 14th of this month right now in Japan.
Okay.
Who knows? I doubt we're ever going to get it. Maybe we'll get it when they release it on physical. Who knows? That would be nice at this point. But when they came out and they first were airing this, they came out and said, oh, there's a Gundam Freed Zero project that was in the works as well, which is supposed to be a sequel project to the Freedom movie. Kind of curious how they're going to actually make that work. I mean, I guess technically there's like, about a 2-year gap between Destiny and Freedom.
Yeah.
But and I'm sure it'll work fine. I did think it was funny, though. They said that the script for Freedom Zero was completed over 20 years ago, so right around the time this show would have been airing. And because of, I don't know how much you know, but there was a lot of behind-the-scenes drama with the creators of Seed and Seed Destiny that caused problems for Seed Destiny, which is why the second half of the show is a complete, turd show. Try to say PG the best as I can here. A complete crapshoot, which caused problems with the show, and why these movies that were always planned never actually came to fruition until like 20 years later.
That's
huge
crazy.
Problem.
Crazy.
But it's crazy. Obviously, they're planning on starting to work on it. They said the storyboard's almost finished, but the script essentially is there. But it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna finally get around to doing this, because like half the work's already done. We just essentially have to go into production for it. And I guess it's a good sign that Freedom was, a financially successful property, because I remember Seed
Yeah.
not only being popular in the U.S., though it's popular for different reasons in Japan, but that Seed was such like it's one of the most popular Gundams that was ever outside of some of the Universal Century that happened aired in Japan. But after the second season, it just nothing. It just went silent and cold and dormant.
Wow.
Which I'm pretty sure is attributed to a lot of the stuff that happened behind the scenes.
Did you see that giant Gundam got moved
To the actual museum or park that they have?
Yeah, where they said it's gonna stay now. Which I'm glad they didn't just tear it down, because
No, yeah, I'm good. Well, from my understanding, I don't think they're going to actually have it like move anymore, but it's at least there.
Yeah, it's not gonna be animated anymore, which is a really cool thing that you can actually use it like a Gundam. Do you think that's where we're heading? Do you think that's what AI is going towards next? Is it going to be more Gundam, or is it going to be more like Metabots?
I'm biased. I would love the concept of a mobile suit being a thing.
Yeah, but that's an absolute war machine. So that means all out war, because
Yeah.
every country is going to take advantage of it.
And you brought it up, and it's been so long since I've read into it and I've watched the original. There is at least in the Universal Century, there's a explicit reason why they use mobile suits the way they do, why technology kind of advanced the way it goes. Because I mean, on its own, it looks cool, but the practicality out the gate doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But it has something to do with there's other problems. Because like you think the more technology kind of here, like, oh, you can like shoot a missile from like a spacecraft and hit something you can't technically see. But they, at least to some degree, take the time to explain like that's not possible. I think it's the Minotsky particles or something like that. I might be getting that wrong. It's been a hot second since I've dug into it. But there was a problem, like even in their ships, they essentially have to be able to like make visual confirmation. Because even if you see something on a radar, you can't always trust what you see. So they had to go back to a form of visual, and then X, Y, and Z. I can't remember off the top of my head. They went from traditional fighters to a mobile suit that's more like humanoid for a reason. They explain it a lot more than I can right now.
Have you ever seen the anime, very, very, very popular mech in Japan? Specifically, the star mech of the show is just like a very popular toy to collect. It's also like one of the most expensive toys. The original.
I'm not sure. I mean, that's like half of why Gundam exists is for the Gunpla.
Well, I was gonna ask. If not, look it up. It's called UFO Grendizer. Look it up. You'll probably recognize the robot because he's like a star of Japan. Like he's very, very popular as far as the mech itself. The show, I think a lot of people actually think it's just straight a toy that existed.
You're talking about that old anime from the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen it before. I'm aware of it. I never actually watched the show.
You should watch it, especially if you like Gundam. It's very interesting. It's like a mix of Voltron, Gundam, and maybe like Macross and Zoids or something like that. It's very interesting. It's a very good show and it still holds up. It still holds up too.
You say that, and one of the things I just happened to randomly bring up, apparently there's a Switch game called UFO Robot Grendizer, The Feast of the Wolves. It's on Switch.
Way. I gotta look this up.
It's like $40, but I think it's like it might be a digital only game, but it actually has a game on Switch.
Oh no, it's got a physical. $54 on eBay. There's a limited edition of it too. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it got a video game recently. That's crazy.
I don't know. Well,
I gotta check that out because that's a very obscure.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Release date
Best Buy.
This came out October 10th, 2024. That's what the Switch page says.
Bro, it just came out last month. It's for PS5, PS4, and Switch.
I just happened to see it on the Switch. That's crazy.
That is crazy. It actually looks cool too.
So we found the next game that you're going to be streaming.
Potentially. I definitely have to check it out for sure. I still got to get that Monster Rancher game that's for the Switch where instead of it being like a normal Monster Rancher, it's all kaiju.
That does sound interesting. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I've it came out years ago at this point, but it is on the Switch.
But I do have one criticism. I think I do and don't like the redub of Sea Destiny, because I'm pretty sure you haven't seen it, because I bought
I
the
haven't seen
special
it.
edition on Blu-ray and stuff like that. I like the voice acting for the most part. Obviously, they're watching the original. Some of those voices are iconic, but like
Like the,
I think the
yeah.
original, the way it's best to describe it, it has higher highs than the new dub does, but it also has lower lows. Where the other one doesn't have those. It's not as good, but it's more consistent voice acting across the board.
Is it the voice acting?
Oh, you little robot stuff. No, I mean, they're just different people. I don't think it's terrible. I think some people got a
Yeah.
little,
I'll tell you what I hated
harsh
the
with it.
dub for. The new Ranma 1/2. I do not like the dub for it.
I don't remember the dub of the original, so I mean, at that point,
I,
just watch the sub. Then
yeah, I'm probably going to.
I have to watch Dragon Ball, because it's until later this month when we actually get the English dub for Diamond. It's always going to kind of be behind. You're pretty much stuck watching the Japanese dub if you want to be up to date with it.
Yeah, it's always behind on Netflix. It's an episode behind every week. Like episode 5 comes out on the 18th, I think, on Netflix.
I'll say this: just like when I watched Destiny the first time, I can't stand Shin. He's such an asshole of a character. Even from the get-go, he's just not likable.
I think he was designed that way, though.
I think it's kind of intentional, but I mean, he comes off as a moody teenager. So maybe
Yeah.
when you were that moody teenager, you could relate. Now I'm just like, nah, man, somebody needs to smack this kid around.
Now you don't get it. Yeah.
But I don't mind it in English or Japanese. It's fine. But I will say this: as much as I didn't super care for the original dubbed version of Lax Klein's music, I thought the original English dub it was much better. The new singer, she butchers it, and I can't stand it, and I have to like skip it. I still think it's one of those things, because this was like what 2011, 2012 when they redubbed this, long after they had stopped dubbing songs. And they still redubbed the song when they could just use the original voice, which is going to be the best for the music.
Better.
And it's just bad. Like at this point, like I get the original, that was a different era, and it's not as bad as far as the singing. This like she's obviously it's super low quality singing. Who okayed that was the worst, but like at that point I'm saying like it's 2011, 2012. You tell me you just couldn't throw over the Japanese audio for the singing, like nobody would have cared. Most people probably would have preferred it. But at least the original was serviceable. I was thinking about it and I had to like rant on it for a second because it's god awful.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
But I guess I just brought it up because it's one of the ongoing ones. We're gonna be talking some more Dandadan, some Daima, and there's a few other. There's obviously a lot more ongoing. It's just Dragon Ball is by far our favorite. We've talked about it a few times already. We've went back, watched episode 4 and 5. You said you had some stuff confused you on that before we actually started.
4 didn't. 4 was a good episode. I thought it was pretty good. Episode 5, you got the introduction of Pansy, which I instantly thought of Pan from GT. I'm kind of like, is this supposed to be Pan? Because Goku is obviously a kid in GT again too, so it was like the same sort of setup. It felt like that. Is this like the introduction of Canon Pan?
I don't know necessarily about like Canon Pan or stuff like that, but
it's more so a joke. But I mean, the character I do like Pansy. I think it's a good character.
No, I like her character. I got more of a
annoying like I thought she was going to be.
No, because especially in episode 5, which is I had some scenes kind of pulled up from the 5th episode just to be able to like show the character in decent quality. As the episode went on, she reminded me less of Pan, more of Chi-Chi, if that makes sense, from the original Dragon Ball. Episode 5 really gave me Chi-Chi and then the Ox King vibes. That's the first thing that came to mind. Episodes I haven't watched in probably better for a part of a decade at this point. That's the very first thing I thought of was like, this is like a new take on Chi-Chi and the Ox King. Obviously, probably less relevant and it's here and gone, but that's the first thing I thought of. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, I can see it too, especially
because her dad's rich. I guess he's the demon of the 3rd demon world, the lower one, but powerful and stuff like that. Is on the larger side, kind of like Chi-Chi's dad is.
Right. What's your thoughts on Glorio?
I think they kind of bring it up pretty early on.
That he's sketchy.
Because obviously she doesn't trust him. There's some stuff going on where it's like he's related to the dad or her dad, the Demon King, but there's a few other things that are different. I think it's obvious from the get go, from first episode when you see him, you're like, there's obviously something going on. He said he's like from the second Demon World, but he works in the first. Because I think in the early episodes they kind of explained that if you have permission, you can travel between the Demon World and stuff like that. But I think you have to have some level of mystery or trying to play. There's a word for it. It's not like subterfuge. I don't think it's like the right thing I'm thinking of. But you have this character and it's very obvious, but you don't know where he's going to ultimately align. But for now, it aligns with Goku and his goals and stuff like that.
What did you think about the fight scene in episode 4 with Goku and the guards?
I thought it was absolutely great.
It took me back to Dragon
the power pole going around, just like leveling a bunch of them, and he's fighting because he obviously has the upper hand.
Goku was just so much cooler with the power pole, man. That's why I love Dragon Ball, the original. I love Z2, but there's just nothing beats Goku with the power pole for some reason, which sucks because Goku with the power pole is stuck behind the Ultimate Edition of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which I was supposed to get, and they didn't make enough copies for everybody.
Oh, that's like the worst.
It was a limited print run essentially of it, and they weren't sold in any stores, online only, which makes me really mad because it's like either I find that and then sell my regular copy, or I just buy the extras. It's $10 basically for the one, and it's just Goku with the pool as an adult. I'm thinking about it.
No, yeah, but I mean, going back to the actual fight, like you think of Dragon Ball, but like it's just a fresh coat of paint. It just looks super smooth. Is what I was thinking with this, because they also found another way to kind of like nerf certain ability. Could we can fly, but the air is super heavy, so you kind of nerf him with that. You can't necessarily move as fast. So I like the ways they're trying to like depower, at least to some degree initially, some of our characters. Though sure. Obviously later on, I mean you meet her Demon King and stuff like that, and it's kind of like oh no, this guy's actually super powerful. Then he just like defeats all the Demon King's guards or his soldiers by initially like incentivizing him, like, hey, you want a pay raise? Beat this kid. Which that was like super funny. Because he also...
how many more episodes do you think until Bulma and everybody else reaches them?
They said it's going to be like, about a week, and it's another 4 days to get where he's going.
Yeah, so I feel like it's got to be by next episode. Obviously, it's not going to be like real time, so...
I don't know. It depends on how quickly they get to the first Tamagotchi, I believe, for the Dragon Ball Guardians.
Yeah.
So I could see it being another handful of episodes and stuff like that. Because we also got introduced to like one other character near the end. Let's see if I can't pull it up.
I did want to bring up while you're pulling that up. I saw this on Reddit, so take it with a grain of salt. But apparently there's going to be a direct tie-in from Daima to Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, where the requirement for that part of the story, I don't completely get it. You have to experience it on both. So you'll get the story beat on the game, and then you'll get the story beat on the show. So they're going to directly tie them in together. This is what I read, so.
Oh, okay. No, that makes sense.
Because, I mean, you get real story in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. It's one of the more story-heavy Dragon Ball games besides, like, Legacy of Goku and stuff where it essentially just rehashes the anime, but in, like, an RPG form, so there's a lot of text and you get a lot of story and stuff like that.
No, yeah, that makes sense. I couldn't immediately figure out his name, but I had it on screen. That's like the alien-looking dude with like one little curly on the top of his head from episode 5.
Yeah,
because he's like supposed to. Because like apparently Goku and the characters, they can't come in without a passcode. So he's like, oh hey, I need you to go and get his friends, and then we're not like scoundrels or pirates, but like we're just gonna like make stuff work. We have to like hack the stuff. So like I need you to go over there, get them, because without this passcode, they can't actually make it to the demon world.
We also got the first kind of glimpse at Super Saiyan Goku in this form.
Oh yeah, like very briefly, like powers. I don't know, because in the opening it teases it. It feels like he was like,
Well, he's obviously going to get it. We know it's gonna
Yeah.
it's gonna have to. He's gonna have to. It's like the staple of the series. But we got our first sort of glimpse of it where he started to glow.
yeah, it was like a quasi Super Saiyan. It felt like it didn't go all the way outside the
Yeah,
initial power up because I guess he technically did, and then it was just more of like a glow around him.
yeah,
But I mean, no more character introductions, and I guess it makes sense because he's still technically an adult at heart because he says he is. Because then they also talk about what's it the new Demon King. It's like, oh, you got to pay up, and if not, if you can't like pay the 3 gold pieces, I'm just gonna like suck like 9 years of your life into this machine, which was crazy.
I don't think they gave a name for that king either. By
No,
the
no,
way.
sorry, it's King Goma is the Demon King.
Oh.
The her dad, I can't remember if he did. It was if she did, I think she did. It was really briefly though, and I don't know. It seemed like he was like a 1 episode character. Or he might be
Yeah.
back, in the future because he had like aspirations of wanting to be the new Demon King for like
Yeah.
personal reasons, but it's just the king of like the third demon world.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but
Crazy
I did see
people
some
being
stuff.
around.
I like it posted online because they said they live like 1,000 years, and and Pansy said, "Oh, I'm 84," and Goku's like, "Oh, that's not normal. I'm married. I've got kids in the family and stuff like that." Because the Demon King tries to like marry her off. That's like one of the things that reminded me of Chi-Chi.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah, I thought of that too.
Except this time, Goku knows better that marriage isn't a kind of food.
Yeah, funny stuff.
I saw people because I think I tagged you over on X about some stupid stuff people were talking about it. But I was like, the way I saw it is she's like the equivalent of about 8.5 in human years. You think about 1,000, but if you move the decimal over, say like 100 years, so she'd be close to like about 8, which I think is kind of what she's kind of drawn as. That's what I first thought about when I was watching it. I'm like, oh, they just live like 10 times longer, but 100 would be the equivalent of like 10, 200 would be the equivalent of like
Right.
20.
Right, yeah.
Makes sense with the aging and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Was there anything else you want to talk about the episode? I know we kind of like really quick, but overall like recap. It feels like.
No, I mean we pretty much recapped. I think the biggest part of it obviously is the introduction. Pansy, I think it's a character that's going to stay probably through the entire series.
I mean, she's been teased for a while with the opening, so you felt like you knew she was coming for a while, and then I guess
kind of paid attention enough to the opening to realize like some of the things maybe I probably should have seen before. But
no, but I guess because the other thing was when they leave, she's like, "Oh, let me come. I'm going." It's like, "Oh, what if the ship breaks? I can repair it for you." None of them know what they're doing. So like,
immediately thought of Balma.
so she feels like a mixture between Chi-Chi and Bulma is what she does to me with the
Yeah,
technological prowess, but the combat ability of Chi-Chi, at least as far as Dragon Ball goes and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
So she feels like a nice little match between those two. Because obviously between the opening and the ending, Bulma and Pansy are gonna have some kind of interaction, assuming that the ending animation's accurate.
Yeah.
So it feels like we're getting close to having all the characters back in one party, and now it's just like, well, you kind of know where the story's going. Got to get the Dragon Balls. Got to save Dende and stuff like that. Become big again. Save the Demon World. But like, how long is it gonna take? What's like the end goal? It's the adventure they're gonna be. I assume there's gonna be setbacks here and there, but I'm like looking back at the original Dragon Ball, trying to figure out like where they might go as far as like the story wise.
Right. Yeah. I'm interested to see where they go as well. I really don't know at this point.
I just hope it's more than like 20, 30 episodes. If I'm being a little selfish, with it being Dragon Ball, you'd expect it to be at least like a few years worth of content, like I don't know, like 80, 100 episodes. But I mean, who knows?
I feel like this is going to be 100+ show for sure. I feel like
because what the original Dragon Ball, which takes place over the better part of like what, a decade, was about about what, 250 some episodes, maybe to 350.
Yeah.
It's not the longest in the world, but it was like a solid like what, 5-6 seasons.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's what I was thinking of. Obviously, I can't imagine that much time going by. There's a lot of training arcs in the original Dragon Ball that's kind of unnecessary. So you could see like a streamlined story as far as Dragon Ball, not taking as long to tell your story and stuff like that. But that's why I'm thinking like maybe 100 episodes, but I could see them, it being significantly shorter.
It It definitely could be, but I feel like it's gonna have a good length to it.
I think the popularity of it could definitely lean towards the show running longer as well. Because I mean, you've seen that in other shows before. Because a lot of these shows start airing long before they're finished actually, animating the whole show. So like popularity or unpopularity of certain characters and stuff has influenced how the writing of a show goes and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
As much as I don't necessarily agree with stuff like that, I understand that's just like the nature of how animation works and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
But I mean, looking more to more. There's a lot of Dandadan I want to talk about next week, especially Ranma as well. So we're definitely gonna be talking about those two next week for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure we'll find a way to throw episode 6 of Daima in there. At least for like a short little bit.
I guess we should also plug that, of course, we're going to be doing it right after this, but we do it every single Saturday. We stream at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Different game every week. We're trying to keep up with new games, so we're trying to make it a little more interesting for you guys and stuff like that. So obviously this will the stream will have already happened, but we're, for instance, playing Dragon Ball Sparking Zero this week, and next week it could be a new release, it could be the new Naruto I picked up, it could be anything. So definitely wanted to plug that in there.
No, absolutely. But I guess little last segment before we kind of get out of here. Kind of moving forward, we want to talk about if not an anime game or JRPG-esque game and stuff like that, because a lot of what we do on the other channel is game related, so why not try to bridge the both? So why not? It's been a while since I played maybe specific anime JRPGs are a whole lot easier, but we talked about one of the games that really got me back into JRPGs as a whole, and at least looking at other anime style games, was Tales of Arise. It's one of those shows it's one of those games that really captivated me for the first time in a long time, especially with the story, but as well as reigniting, because this really is the game that reignited my interest in just JRPGs as a whole.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. It's a fantastic series. I have never played a bad Tales game. It was a different type of Tales game, while also still being the same sort of thing. Did you ever play Tales of Symphonia?
No, I didn't. There was another remastered Tales game on the Switch. I can't remember which one it was, though I did not like the combat of that game.
Well, see,
it was an older one, though.
What's interesting is that a lot of the Tales games play completely different. So Tales of Arise plays completely different than any other Tales before.
It's more of like an action JRPG.
Action RPG.
Well, the fightings are in instance environments, but you're controlling it. You're hitting A to slash. You have control over your actual abilities. It's not turn based like you consider the old school ones.
You didn't like Tales of Vesperia?
Is that the one we're talking about? Yeah, no, that sounds right. I think I played it for an hour, and I just...
It might be my favorite Tales game.
The problem is, I got in my first combat fight, and I was struggling at the very offset of the game with the combat.
Different. It's a different type of combat. It's a different type of RPG, but
yeah,
you got to give that game more time than just
it's not the story that was the problem. It was the combat. I'm saying this is...
You get used to it, and it gets easier the longer that you play it. You start to get the hang of it. I mean, you do. I understand. I remember when I first played it, I was like, what the heck is this? What kind of combat is this? But then you get it, and you get into a groove with it, and you start to understand. Tales of Vesperia might be it's between that and probably Tales of what is it on GBA? Hold on, let me look it up real quick. I always forget this title for some reason. There's so many Tales games. Tales of Fantasia. Tales of Fantasia.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember hearing that one. I don't know if this was a popular one.
Classic RPG. It's great.
I remember a lot of people talk about Tales of Berseria. I don't know if that was a popular one. I do.
It wasn't a popular one, but I like it. Tales of Destiny, I think, would be the other big one that a lot of people played. It's Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Destiny, and it's going to be Tales of Arise now because it's the most popular and the most sold in the series.
Oh, it was my first introduction, and I thought the story was absolutely great because obviously it's got two whole different intros, kind of like a show type thing. But the story, when it's just when you think you're getting to the end of the game, psych, you're halfway through the actual game. The story is far more complex. or not the most complex thing in the world, but it's an entertaining story and stuff like that. Where your first playthrough definitely keeps you on your toes as far as like where the story's gonna go. But between, especially with the background with Alphen and Shion and stuff like that, where it's able to there's obviously hints about their relationship and the background for both characters. I think I don't want to say hold, it doesn't hold your hand. It hides the background good enough until it wants to actually properly tell you. So you're sitting here thinking like, oh, like what exactly is going on? Could he be from the whole was it 300 years ago in the past when this invasion first kind of happened? But you just don't know for sure. It kind of keeps you on your toes. Even when it goes into, because can't remember how far you've gotten when you first go into his past and start to learn what's going on. You don't really know until kind of like the end of this flashback what's actually going on there. It feeds you the lore in a way that I at least found entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
It builds up that suspense, and then when the time is right, it lets you know, and then the story goes to like essentially it's third act or something like that.
Yeah,
for the final like third of the game.
Yeah, I didn't get to finish the game. I've got about 10 hours in. It's when I need to loop back around and finish because I loved it. I thought it was great. So I do need to finish that. I've got that on the list to get back to, but I think it's a fantastic game, and I'm so happy that now Ys is a big series, and now Tales is a big series, and all of these like obscure JRPG series that nobody knew about, and now they're massively popular. And if I had to compare, I love Tales and I love Ys, but if I had to recommend one series to you, one JRPG series, period, it's Ys for sure. I know you well enough to know that you will love the series. The earlier games play way different than the newer games. The newer games take a different approach. The last 4 games take more of the approach of an action RPG, more of a modern day JRPG, and then the classics play like classic Final Fantasy games, and they're all good. They're good for their own reasons. Like I can go back and play Ys on the TurboGrafx CD and enjoy it just as much as I would probably enjoy Ys 10 Nordics. So, I love all forms of RPGs. I'm a fan of classic turn-based RPGs, and like I like the classic ones like Earthbound, where it's like the first person style that most people hate. I like that type, so.
No, yeah, I mean 100%. We need more games. It still baffles me that this game came out as recently as it did, because it came out in 2021. It feels like it was longer, like much older game than like what 3 years at this point. Because we did get a DLC, the Beyond the Dawn, that came out in November of last year. A whole 2 years after the game came out, which is insane.
Did you play it? Yeah,
I was in the process of replaying the story to then replay the Beyond the Dawn.
I do know that the new one is being worked on, and that leads essentially directly into this new one. It's kind of a stopgap between games, so I guess it is important story wise.
I mean, absolutely take your time. Maybe some people want to criticize it. I absolutely love the game, but it was like the first one that I played. It captivated me. The only thing I don't like about the game is the if you want to platinum this game, you've got to put like 100 to 150 hours into this game. It's one of those games where there's just arbitrarily difficult achievements. Like, hey, you need to get all your characters like level 100. Well, naturally, you get into the story, you're around like 65, so it's just a level of grinding. There's like fishing mini games for achievements that you just have to grind out. It's just some of the achievements are just annoying to get.
I did get to show these on the Game Junction podcast, the last episode, but I'll go ahead and show them on here because they're semi-related. I've wanted this since launch, but I knew I didn't want to pay the launch MSRP, so I was waiting to find a deal on it. But I picked up Naruto X Boruto Storm Connections, supposedly the best Naruto game that we've gotten yet. That's what I've heard. I paid about 20 for it. It was $27.99. I had a $5 coupon and some points, so I basically paid $20 for it. And then the big one, which I haven't opened it up yet because I can't start it until I at least finish Metaphor or Dragon Ball or something. Or I'm dedicated to playing through Mario and Luigi right now, so that's my prime game at the moment. But I got Ys 10 Nordics. Super, super, super excited about this game. I love Ys so much. It makes me happy just thinking about it. So super excited about that.
Yeah, I know you brought that up. I've got some other games like oh yeah, like I have stored on online Fatal Bullet on Steam, though it didn't necessarily gravitate or not gravitate grab me out the gate. But I've got like less than an hour on that game, and I actually
They're
technically
all on
have.
right now.
Yeah, I've got the Steins Gate visual novel. I've got like 7 minutes of playtime, so I never actually really opened it up and did anything, which is kind of a disgrace because that anime is absolutely fantastic and amazing. But there's like a lot of anime specific games that I have or games that I want to play that playing them, streaming them, coming here talking about them or doing a video on them would be like absolutely amazing and perfect. Just need to actually do it
for sure.
But I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to hit up. I think that was some of the big stuff. We're closing on in an hour right now, so
yeah, I think it's about it. We got to get to streaming, so I think good episode.
Yeah, because obviously we record these on Saturdays. We stream essentially right after it.
Yeah.
So hey, that'll be posted to the YouTube channel as well as the socials and stuff like that. If you are interested in coming to watch us stream games and stuff like that, that'll be on the socials in the description, and then that. Starting on Mondays, it'll get posted in the actual community section of the Junction Network over on the YouTube. So appreciate everybody joining us. Obviously, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Reach out, follow us on the socials and stuff like that, and watch all our other content both here on the Junction Network and on the Game Junction Network page as well. But yeah, we will see you all next week. Peace out, everybody.
Later.